You know that feeling when you're just totally burnt out? Like you're spinning your wheels in this chaotic, exhausting world just waiting for your real life to finally kick off? Well, it turns out that feeling, definitely not a modern invention. In this explainer, we're diving deep into a 17th century poet's absolute frustration with earthly existence. Today, we're decoding a literal masterpiece of English literature, Henry Vaughan's classic poem, Quickness. We're going to unpack the brilliant poetic analysis hidden right there in its lines, and honestly, discover why its message hits just as hard today as it did nearly 400 years ago.
To really get what's going on here, we're going straight to the source text of Quickness, exactly as it appears in the anthology Songs of Ourselves. What's so great about this specific version is that it doesn't just hand us the verses, it gives us this vital 17th century glossary right alongside them. So throughout this explainer, we'll be using both Vaughan's incredibly vivid poetry and those historical definitions to decode the profound meaning he hid beneath the words.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, 1. Vaughan's tale of two lives. 2. The illusion of false life. 3. The light of true life. And finally, 4. Decoding the word quickness.
Section 1, Vaughan's Tale of Two Lives, an introduction to the central conflict.
Right out of the gate, Henry Vaughan establishes this massive dichotomy. The entire poetic structure of Quickness relies on splitting human existence into two totally distinct categories. Listen how aggressive he gets in the opening stanza. He writes, "False life, a foil, and no more. When wilt thou be gone? Thou foul deception of all men that would not have the true come on." Notice how he uses an apostrophe here. He's addressing false life directly, literally talking to it as if it's an enemy standing right in front of him. He completely dismisses our day-to-day earthly existence as a foul deception. It's an illusion that is actually blocking the true life from arriving. Okay, let's dive into this word foil. Back in the 17th century, this didn't just mean a shiny, reflective surface like we think of today. Vaughan is playing with a secondary meaning here, a dull background meant to set off a jewel's brightness. So Vaughan isn't just saying life is bad, he's using a very precise poetic metaphor. Earthly life is just the dark, dull velvet inside a jewelry box. Its only real purpose is to serve as a backdrop to make the true, spiritual life shine that much brighter. Section 2. The illusion of false life. Metaphors for human anxiety and struggle. Moving into the second stanza, Vaughan paints this chaotic, incredibly relatable picture of what experiencing this false life actually feels like day in and day out. What's absolutely striking here is the sheer physical weight of his metaphors. He writes, "Thou art a moon-like toil, a blind self-posing state, a dark contest of waves and wind, a mere tempestuous debate." I mean, what a brilliant 400-year-old representation of human anxiety. Think about modern burnout for a second. Doesn't it feel exactly like a dark contest of waves and wind? It's a storm, a noisy, exhausting, tempestuous debate raging inside our own heads. And what does he mean by a moon-like toil? Well, in Vaughan's era, moon-like specifically meant changeable or inconstant, just like the phases of the moon. Vaughan looked at mortal life and realized it's so exhausting because it is never stable. We are constantly shifting, constantly reacting to new problems, laboring under conditions that literally change from day to day. And that instability, it has serious consequences. To be self-posing means to be self-destructive. So this earthly illusion isn't just tiring, it's actively harming us. We're trapped in a blind self-posing state, meaning we can't see the truth, and in all that confusion, we end up sabotaging ourselves. It's a pretty bleak take on the human condition, right? But don't worry, Vaughan doesn't leave us in the dark. Section 3. The light of true life. Vaughan's vision of the divine reality. In the third stanza, Vaughan makes an abrupt pivot. He pulls our focus away from the dark chaos of earthly struggle and points us toward the bright, fixed serenity of divine reality. And this brilliantly illustrates the poetic structure we talked about earlier, where Vaughan maps his imagery out as absolute opposites. Where false life is blind, true life is a discerning light. Where false life is a tempestuous storm and an ever-changing moon-like toil, true life is fixed and full of knowing joy. He's setting up these two states as total opposites. The true life, he says, has no chance or fit, meaning no random accidents or sudden convulsions. It's perfectly, beautifully stable. Furthermore, he writes that true life is ever bright and calm and full, yet doth not cloy. Not to cloy is to oversatisfy or to sicken. In our physical, earthly lives, even too much of a good thing makes us sick, right? Eat too much sugar, you feel ill. But this divine spiritual life brings endless, full joy without ever becoming too much. It literally never sickens us.
Actually, instead of sickening us, true life does the exact opposite. Vaughan writes, "'Tis such a blissful thing that still doth vivify." To vivify means to come into life, to render vivid, or to brighten. This true reality brings a blissful brightness that, as he so beautifully puts it, hath the skill to please without eternity. It doesn't even need infinite time to be perfect. Its very nature is vividly alive, right in the present moment.
Section 4. Decoding the word quickness, the final revelation of the poem. Let's quickly summarize our analysis so far. Vaughan's poetic imagery has been doing some heavy lifting. The dark contest of waves perfectly captures our anxiety. The moon-like toil nails our exhausting, endless labor. And as we head into the final lines, he introduces one more metaphor for earthly life, a moving mist, framing our daily existence as completely, utterly insubstantial.
Vaughan delivers one final, stinging insult to false life, addressing it directly again. Thou art a toilsome mole, or less, a moving mist. Just think about that contrast for a second. A mole is blind, living in the dirt, digging endlessly in the dark. That's exactly how he views our daily grind. Or even worse, it's just a mist. It looks like something solid from afar, but the second you try to grasp it, there's nothing actually there. And then we reach the absolute climax of the poem. He writes, "But life is what none can express, a quickness which my God hath kissed." After spending 3 full stanzas using every ounce of his skill to define false and true life, Vaughan finally admits that true life is, well, it's ultimately something beyond human expression. It completely transcends language. The best he can do is call it a quickness that has been intimately touched by the divine.
But what does he actually mean by quickness? Today, we hear that word and we just think of speed, fastness. But to Vaughan, quickness meant a fleeting spirit. It actually stems from the old definition of the word quick, meaning living or alive. You know, like the phrase, the quick and the dead. True life isn't about rushing around in that dark contest of waves. True life is that pure, living, fleeting spirit inside of us. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question inspired directly by Vaughan's incredible poetic vision. When you look at your own day-to-day existence, are you trapped in a blind, moon-like toil? Or are you looking past that dull background, actively seeking out your own quickness, that vivid true spirit that is meant to shine? It's a question from the 1600s, but I think it's one we absolutely still need to answer today. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Henry Vaughan's brilliant mind. Keep seeking the truth, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.